The story follows a hungry boy wandering around at night who witnessed two little girls being chased by a madman with a knife. The boy tackles the man, getting stabbed in the process, and saves the girls. He supposedly dies but wakes up in the body of a 3-year-old named Cain von Silford in a luxurious room with a maid and his mother. Cain learns that he is the third son of a high-ranking noble margrave, Graham, and decides to live a fulfilling life in this world using his past life's memories. Cain meets with the 7 gods and is offered the chance to become a demigod. He is urged by the gods to provide entertainment using information from his past life. Cain then goes to Timanis Saracen Company, where he proposes making reversi boards, a game that is approved. After successfully presenting the game to the king, Cain is challenged by a duel by some bullies, and they back down when they learn he is a baron. Silk and Talacia both invite Cain on dates, but the king scolds him for being a philanderer. Cain demonstrates the game to the king and Eric, but they criticize him for his intentions with their daughters. Cain sits on a lavish pink velvet couch in a grand castle hall as he receives a set of keys and a map to the mansion. The gesture fills him with gratitude and excitement, evident in his deep blue eyes as he anticipates having his own place. Prime Minister Magna informs him that the king has initially been occupied but reserved himself for Cain to play a game of reversi. The king's enthusiasm for the game is so intense that he had to physically restrain him when he heard of Cain's arrival. He feels content and relieved knowing he could go home earlier. However, his attention is diverted when he heard someone call his name from outside the hall. To his surprise, it is none other than Duke Eric. Upon reaching Cain just in time, the Duke appears relieved and expresses his desire to challenge him to a game of reversi. Despite hiding his inner exasperation, Cain agrees to play, feeling he has no other choice. The Duke pulls out the board game and sets it on the table in front of them, and to make matters worse, Magna also expresses a wish to play. In a matter of seconds, the residents and workers of the mansion gather around, eager to challenge Cain to a game. This scene unfolding before him causes Cain to lose his composure. His one wish is to be able to go home early today. Now seems like a lost cause. Cain later follows the map to the mansion, finding the building to the old and decrepit. As he inserts the keys into the locks and enters, he discovers that although the mansion is old, it is incredibly vast. The glass windows are shattered and there's no furniture in sight. The foyer leads to various halls and rooms, and the massive chandelier hanging in the center is dark, casting the interior into shadows. Cain concludes that the magic stone must be depleted of their magic. Cain conjures a spell, creating a glowing orb of light in his palm, which he uses to navigate through the vacant, furniture-less rooms. The mansion appears dirty and neglected, prompting Cain to use his magic to clean it up. He utters the incantation, all clean, all repair, and in a matter of moments, the entire space is transformed into a pristine and new condition. Broken windows mend themselves, and the entire mansion is illuminated with a radiant glow. Cain proceeds to move from room to room, casting spells to clean and transform each one into a presentable state. Despite being without his family, he finds solace in the fact that he now has his own place. Soon after, Sylvia arrives with a group of maids, offering to assist Cain with the household chores. She introduces Colin, who will serve as his new butler, after introducing themselves and sharing that they have heard about each other from Sebas. Cain informs Sylvia and Colin that he has already used his magic to clean the mansion thoroughly. The maids begin cleaning but find no dirt or dust to clean due to Cain's previous efforts. Once Sylvia and Colin pledge to take care of the estate, Cain departs from Graham's mansion, nearly forgetting that his older brothers are expected to visit him today. Upon arriving at Graham's mansion, Cain's older brothers seem intimidating, with Renee expressing her interest in seeing his new place. However, his brothers try to dissuade her by implying that the mansion is run down. Upon arriving at Cain's estate, they are all surprised to find that the place is actually quite nice and not run down at all. Cain's father notes that although he has transformed the mansion into a beautiful home using magic, it still lacks art. He suggests adding artwork such as paintings or mounted monsters to make it more appealing to the nobles. Cain enthusiastically reveals that he has already put up a mounted monster as a piece of decoration. As they continue their conversation, they are suddenly interrupted by a loud scream coming from downstairs. Turns out to be Sylvia, who has been frightened by the supposed artwork. Cain's father is outraged when he sees that the artwork in question is a massive red dragon that looks more frightening than artistic. However, after his anger subsides, he explains to Cain that the dragon is actually a high-class calamity red dragon, which is worth thousands of platinum coins or around 10 billion yen. Following that, Cain is reminded that he must organize a debut party for all the nobles who hold the ownership of the mansion. Despite feeling discouraged about having to host another debut party, he prepares a list of guests. However, one of his maids suggests that he should offer the guests a unique form of hospitality, something outside of the typical expectations. As the preparations for the party are underway, a messenger arrives from the palace to see him. Upon the arrival of the messenger from the palace, Cain is surprised to find out that it is the king himself who expresses his displeasure at not being invited to the debut party. Eric explains to the king that only high-ranking nobles are allowed to invite the monarch to such events. However, the king argues that, in their case, the norm should be overlooked since Celestia, the princess, is engaged to Cain. Cain seizes the opportunity and presents the king with an invitation, and the king accepts eagerly before leaving. The party at Cain's mansion commences and numerous royal nobles, counts, and countesses make their way to the event. The guests appear to be very impressed with the hospitality provided by Cain. They consider the wine glasses to be the epitome of royalty, and the steak and fizzy wine earn appreciation from all. The king too seems to be pleased with everything and praises Cain's efforts by instructing him to install the latest toilets with water jets in the mansion. Towards the end of the party, Marcus Corgina arrives with his usual demeaning attitude, mocking everything he sees. Although he enjoys the food and drinks, he refuses to admit it. When Cain offers him the porcelain glassware as a gift, he demands 100 of them. Unexpectedly, the king appears, and Marcus Corgione falls to his knees in reverence. He didn't anticipate bumping into his majesty at a baron's party. The king reprimands him for his behavior and warns him to conduct himself appropriately. Cain is on his way to deliver some monster material to the palace when he runs into Vice Captain Dame, an old acquaintance. They are both happy to see each other after a long time and exchange greetings. Cain mentions that Prime Minister Magna has instructed him to drop off the materials at the palace. Dame is already aware of this arrangement and suggests that Cain stores the materials in a nearby storeroom. However, when Cain reveals that the room wouldn't be big enough to accommodate all of his materials, Dame is shocked and asks how much of the materials does he have. Cain confesses that he has materials similar to the red dragon in his mansion, a mounted earth dragon, leaving Dame flabbergasted. He warns Cain that even a whole party of A-rank adventurers could barely take down such a calamity of a dragon, and advises him to leave it at an empty plane for transfer later. Using his magic, Cain brings all of the dragons, which amounts to quite a lot of a 10-year-old boy. Dame inquires if Cain is a hero or a follower of a deity, but Cain feels embarrassed, but also gives a reaction and admits that he is just Margrave Graham's son. Not wanting to pry too much, Dame informs Cain that he will take him some time to appraise all the dragons. As Cain prepares to leave, Dame stops him and urges him to join him to show off his abilities to the captain. Although intimidated by Dame's imposing nature, Cain agrees to accompany him. Dame introduces him to the trainee knights as a warrior who defeated 30 orcs and saved the princess. The large number of knights present makes Cain feel nervous. Dame challenges him to a mock battle, which one of the knights objects to, citing Cain's young age. Dame responds sarcastically, telling the knight to go first if he's so concerned. Cain defeats the knight with a single strike, much to everyone's surprise. Next, Dame challenges him to fight 30 knights simultaneously, impressed by his skills. Just then, a young woman in a knight's uniform leaps down from a nearby building, causing concern for Cain as he is surrounded by so many knights. However, she quickly comes to his defense, admonishing the other knights for pointing their swords at such a young child. She embraces him to reassure him and notices that she has pointy ears, leading him to believe that she may be an elf. Assuming that he may have wandered into this place, she comforts him, telling him not to be afraid of the intimidating people around him. Dame steps forward to explain the situation to her, revealing that Cain is actually a baron. Initially skeptical, she challenges him to a duel, which Cain agrees to. To his surprise, he proves to be a formidable opponent and ultimately emerges victorious. The woman, who introduces herself as Tijuana von Liebert, the captain of the Royal Chivalric Order of the Esfort and the daughter of Duke Liebert, becomes overwhelmed and declares that she has decided to marry him. Cain reminds Tijuana that such a decision cannot be made unilaterally, and she agrees to seek permission from her father. She then instructs Dame to arrange a meeting with the king, where Tijuana expresses her desire to marry Cain, leaving the king astonished. In response, Cain explains how their meeting led to this proposition. The king informs Cain that Tijuana comes from a territory called Liebert, which is predominantly inhabited by elves. The first Esfort ruler promised that their territory would be governed under the Esfort rule with no discrimination between humans and elves. The king reveals that Tijuana is, in fact, a princess. The king informs Tijuana that he is already engaged, but if she obtains her father's permission, then they can consider the matter. Later on, the king, Graham, and other courtiers discuss Cain's exceptional abilities at such a young age. They decide to test him by presenting a book containing magic text written by the first emperor of Esfort. The next day, Cain is called to read the book, and he is overjoyed to be able to read the royal magical text. However, as he begins to read, all the nobles present become shocked because the text is written in Japanese, a language different from theirs. Cain realizes that the first emperor was also Japanese, and there is a high chance that he was reincarnated just like him. He reveals his true identity and memories from his previous life to his father, the king, and the nobles present, including his encounter with the gods when he was baptized at the age of 5. He shows them his status, and they believe him instantly. Although he apologizes for not being truthful earlier, Cain expresses his contentment and happiness with his current life, and asks them to treat him the same way they did before. The nobility agree to keep his true identity confidential and not disclose it to anyone, including their own families. Subsequently, Tijuana appears with the permission from her father and takes Cain with him to another date, another duel. The end for now. Thanks for watching. If you like this recap, please consider to like and subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell to be notified of any new recaps. And while you're at it, check out this new anime recap appearing on the screen.